What up, gang? What up? What up? What up? We are back. We are back. We are back in the building. We're going to jump into module number 2. Module number 2, we're going to talk about format and flow. Now, when we're talking about format and flow, the first thing you got to do is you got to make a determination. Is it going to be a solo podcast, or you're going to have an interview type podcast where you're going to have guests on, or is it going to be a hybrid format? Meaning, if you're going to do solo and interviews, that's the hybrid portion of it. All right. So now that we got the foundation portion of it down pat, let's talk about how we're actually going to show up for the show, for your podcast. All right. What format are you going to use? That's the number one question. What format are you going to use? So when you make that decision on what format you're going to use, you have to dig deep, because once you set it, there's no going back. Either you're going to mainly do interviews, or you're going to do solo, or it's going to be hybrid. That way you know exactly how you're going to maneuver through everything that you need to do. So there's 3 main formats, and each one has its pros and cons. The key is picking the one that's right for your strength, your goals, and your lifestyle. Because if you pick a format that drains you, you're not going to be consistent. And consistency is everything in the game of digital marketing, podcasts, and everything that we do. Consistency is the contingent part. So let's talk solo episodes. This is the first format we're going to talk about. Just so you know, a solo episode means no guests and no co-host. All right. So, and it's just you, the mic, and you dropping the knowledge. And that's what Podcast for Profits is. This is what we're going to talk about here. Right. So now here's one of the pros to that. Now, if you see me constantly looking over, of course, I got to check the notes, because I want to give you the best value that you can get. Pros, you're the expert. You're the authority figure. All the authority stays with you. All right. Number 2, it's easy to schedule. You don't have to coordinate with anybody. Number 3, you can batch record. You can knock 4 or 5 episodes out in a day and take 3 weeks off and then do it again and just keep it rolling. All right. And then number 4, you have a deeper connection with your audience. They get to know you better. These are the folk that get to know you. Now, the cons are it's all on you. You got to bring the energy every single episode. There's no built-in audience for guests, and it can feel lonely at times. Sometimes it is kind of lonely, but other times it's perfect, just right for you, because you don't have to worry about nobody telling you what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. So this format basically is the best if you got deeper expertise, strong opinions, and you are comfortable carrying the conversation by yourself. And that's how we do it on Podcast for Profits, all right? Number 2 is the interview format. Now, the interview format is where you have either a guest or a co-host for most of your episodes. And I would say that's probably 80 to 90% of the episodes that you're going to shoot. Now, the pros to that is you tap into your guest audience. When you are interviewing people, you can tap into their audience. So what I mean by tap into that, so let's say you go out here and you interview Nia Long. All right. All of Nia Long's fans will see the interview if she reposted to her particular social media channel. Once she reposts that, guess what happens? Now these folk will see you doing the interview and be like, oh, we got to go check out this podcast. If they drop a Nia, who else are they going to drop? All right. So if they share the episode, you get new listeners. Number 2, fresh perspectives and stories. You don't have to answer all the questions. That's where people have questions and you might be doing a live episode. That's where the questions can be directed to them or directed to you to ask them if you have a screen set up over here on the side. Now, number 3, easier to fill content. Your guest is doing half of the talking, so you don't have to talk as much. All right. And then number 4, networking. You build a relationship with the people in your industry. Because you got to think, if you are a social media manager and you have one of the top social media managers in the world, like a Gary Vee or Alex Hamazi, and you tap in with them and you get them on a podcast interview, the next thing you know, guess what you're doing? You're tapping into their audience. The audience is tapping into you, and everything is all fine. Now, the cons to this, scheduling headaches. You got to coordinate your calendars with the guest. All right. That's the real part. That's the hardest part about doing the interviews. Quality control. Not every guest is a good guest. You might think because you want this guest to do it, that's a perfect guest for you. And the answer to that is possibly no. The third one is you can become invincible on your own show if you don't position yourself right. Meaning, if you're not asking the questions that's taming or pulling them in, and then you're making sure that you have a rebuttal question for the question you've asked and they've answered, your position is you're just going to be the back player. All right. And then the last part is it's harder to sell your offers without being salesy. So you got to really, when you got interviews, you really got to do some selling. All right. Now, this format works best if you're a great interviewer. So just got to be able to know how you're going to position yourself, okay? And then last but not least, the third format is called the hybrid. This is the best of both worlds. You do some solo episodes, you do some interviews, maybe some Q&A episodes, some hot takes. You mix it up. But the pros is variety keeps things fresh for you and your audience. Again, flexibility. You can adjust based on your schedule, your energy. And then you can also get the benefit of both formats. Now, the con to that is less predictability from your audience, requires more planning to balance the different episode types. It can feel scattered if you don't have a clear content strategy. Now, here's what I recommend. Start with what feels natural to you. You notice I said don't do what I say do, but start to what feels natural to you. If you're comfortable talking by yourself, start solo. If you love having conversations, start with the interview. You could always add and change up later on. But the key is whatever you pick, commit to that for 3 months before you switch it up. That's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. Give yourself time to get a rhythm going. When we used to be on the football field, it was always, we would say, 21 days before your muscle memory can adapt to what we're doing. 3 months before an audience can pick up on what you're doing, okay? So your action step is decide what format you're gonna use. Write it down, and then write down why you think it's the right fit for you. Now, you got to be honest with yourself, all right? You can't just sit there and pick it and say, I'm going to do these interviews because I feel like I should have guests. No, if you feel comfortable being a solo, then do it. Pick what plays to your strength, all right? So in the next lesson, we're going to discuss the structures, man, all right? So we're going to talk about how do you actually put it together, put the episode together, the hooks, the people in, that keeps you engaged. That's the game right there. So I'm going to get to it, man. Let's get to it. And I'm going to see y'all in the next episode. All right, then, y'all. Peace.